Hey folks, I'm here with my old buddy Kevin Hillhouse at the 1911 Custom Bench. Kevin's got one of the cooler jobs at Wilson Combat. He takes not only customer service guns back in, say people have got a Wilson Combat from back in the day and they want it upgraded.
The older Colts, yeah.
And then he takes things like Colts, Springfield Armories, other brands of 1911s, and does kind of what Wilson Combat did 40 years ago.
Yeah, what we started out doing back in the beginning is taking old Colts and customizing them, make them into really nice pieces of.
Yeah, here a couple years ago, I had a Colt Combat Elite I sent down to you.
That was a nice pistol.
And it was a nice pistol.
It was.
When you got done with it, man, it is a beauty. I mean,
well, thank you.
It fits, shoots. I mean, everything about that gun is it's actually one of my prized Colt.
Well, good. I'm glad you enjoyed it. That's what we try to do here. We'll take somebody's pistol in, and it may be their grandfather's, it may be their father's, or just an old Colt or other than Wilson Combat that they pick up somewhere. And it may be a $600-700 pistol, and we'll have guys that'll put $3,000 into that old pistol, and they turn out with a $3,500 pistol that they can give to their kids or pass on, and have a really fine shooting piece of equipment there.
What are the typical things first off, let's talk about from the service standpoint. Wilson Combat customer, they've got a gun they've had for a while, and they want upgrades or changes. I know Ron gets some of that, but some of it comes to you more for the customer. What's the typical stuff you see the most of?
Well, a lot of our newer customers at Wilson Combat, they don't realize that we do custom work on their existing Wilson pistols. And like you were saying, what we do is if a customer has an old CQB, he wants a new Ambi, he wants to upgrade his sights, maybe he wants one of our newer magwells, and we can bring in his pistol, it'll come to my side of the house, and we'll trick it out, put up any new upgrades that he wants on his pistol, and basically bring it up to modern standards of Wilson Combat.
You know, one of the things I think is interesting is, of course, you're doing what, like we said before, has been going on for 40 years here.
Right.
I don't think a lot of people realize that they can send a gun in to you and have their Colt, say for example, customized with really pretty decent turnaround based upon what the industry typically sees.
Yeah, a lot of your one-man shops, they'll have 2 years, sometimes even longer on their turnarounds, and we try to get it done a little faster. Usually it's around a 6-month turnaround for a complete rebuild, and it may take a little longer depending on all the exact work. Sometimes we have people who will send a pistol in and we'll strip it all the way down to the slide and the frame and start from there and build it completely back up. Interesting story, not too long ago we had a guy who sent in a new R1, a Remington. Yeah, one of the Remingtons. It's just a little stock pistol, and he ended up putting $3,600 worth of work, so he had over a $4,000 R1. Granted, it was the nicest R1 that I've ever
Probably
seen.
ever.
Yeah, and it took me about a week to do it, and went through and I got rid of everything except the frame and the slide, and brought it all back up with Wilson parts and everything. It was a spectacular piece of pistol, and he was extremely proud.
Yeah, I think it's interesting too, and one thing I often warn people: if you've got a really old, say like a World War I era Colt, if you want it to look good, that's one thing. If you're going to shoot it, the metal hardness of those guns is not what it is today.
Exactly. Our modern materials that we use here at Wilson Combat are far superior than all of those old pistols. And like you were saying, you can take one of the old pistols, the old rattle trap Colts like we all see, and you can tighten it up to where it's really nice, and it'll stay for a while, but it'll settle back into its sweet spot of where it really likes to be, and it'll loosen up a little bit. Yeah. A lot of times, we tell people that, hey, this is really where it should stay anyway. It's as good as, we're not going to just bring stuff in and do work for doing work's sake. We'll walk you through a lot of that process. And
Kevin, I often tell people they've got something, say like a nice old Colt Series 70, and they'd like to have it turned into a really nice Wilson Combat pistol, kind of the way it was back in the day. Really, guy can take care of it.
We can take care of that. Matter of fact, I have an old Colt Commander right here.
Oh, Combat Commander.
Yeah, Combat Commander, mid-70s. This gentleman sent it in. He's going to have quite a bit of work done on it. He's going to have a new barrel. He's going to have beaver tail, a magwell. We're going to lower and flare his ejection port and put a new set of sights on here. So he's going to bring this old pistol up, which was his favorite pistol, he says. Yeah. And check it out.
This was a gun from back in the day when
Yeah.
they really made some pretty cool
They
looking
made some
guns.
good stuff there.
And yeah, remember I started out in the early days. Actually, I had one of these I sent to Armand Swinson back in the day. Actually, that's not a bad trigger.
It's not a bad trigger.
That's
for
pretty
an
cool.
old Colt.
Yeah, and these are gorgeous guns, and man, this when he gets done with this is going to be a really nice product.
Yeah, this will be a really cool deal. He'll have armor tough finish, and he'll bring this old pistol up to modern day standards, and there's nothing he won't be able to do with it.
Do you see most of your stuff kind of a accurizing, or is it as much cosmetics as it is accurizing?
It's a little of both. We do a lot of barrel work. We'll have a lot of our barrels that we put into other people's pistols for accuracy, but a lot of it's cosmetics, a lot of them life finishes, the newer finishes that we have, and a lot of Ambis, tactical safeties, and beaver tails. Yeah. And with our new one-piece mag weld, we put that on a lot of stuff. And everybody loves that one.
That's a nice piece of kit. You know, used to be, Kevin, I was never a big fan of mag welds, but I can tell you, once you start using one, wow.
Yeah, and the old clip-on mag welds that everybody used to use, they still come in, and we'll take those off and put new one pieces on. And
you know, the old CQB, the one that I carry every day when I'm home, had one of the two pieces.
Right.
And when I sent it back the last time, and you may have been the guy I worked on, I sent it back years ago for a rebuild. And the two tabs on each side, one was broke off. It didn't know it. I mean, it was a little wobbly, but it worked fine. But you guys put one of the one piece on bulletproof, and man,
yeah, they're number one. You can't beat them. They are bulletproof. They're bomb proof.
Yeah, and I tell everybody, if you're going to use an Ambi Safety, the Wilson Combat bulletproof one is the one to use.
It is the best one going out there. I'm not a big Ambi Safety fan, but that is the one.
Yeah, if you're a left-hander.
Yeah, if you're a left-hander, it's the way to go.
Yeah, cool. How about, somebody told me you guys are now in the new bluing. You actually re-blue.
Yeah, we do our own bluing. We do our own prep and high polishes for bluing and everything. We have our own blue tanks. We blue about once a week or so, and our blue is beautiful.
Very attractive.
Yeah, it's attractive.
How about sights? Are fiber optic becoming more popular, or you kind of see a mix?
No, that fiber optic is probably our #1 upgrade on most everybody else's pistols. A fiber optic with our rear sight set, it's the way to go. Yeah. We have the new 598 rear sight, which is pretty awesome. It's a little wider. It has that big target, or that big bullseye front sight on it. Really good. Yeah. You know, as we get older,
I call that's a sight that Ray Charles could see.
Exactly. And that's becoming real popular. And we've got our new combat rear adjustable sight, which is pretty cool. And we're starting to put a lot of those on. But you know, just our regular sight set in tritium or in fiber optic is pretty awesome.
You know, that new adjustable rear sight that comes on the X9, one of the things I think is cool about that is if you change bullet weight and your point of impact change on it, you can adjust for it real quick.
Yeah, the end user can use that and adjust it at home. It's not that hard, and I think it's a good deal. It saves us a lot of bringing in sights and changing out sights when people have sight problems. Or,
you know, the other thing which I think a lot of people don't grasp is one of the advantages to the crew here in this shop, you, Ron, Jess, you guys are shooters.
Right.
And it's always somewhat rewarding when you're talking to somebody or you want somebody working on your gun, and as a shooter, they understand what you're talking about.
Yeah, and that comes in handy a lot, because a lot of stuff that comes across our benches, we'll see things that the customer didn't actually realize that was going on with his pistol, and he may have a glitch somewhere, but he didn't know why, or something may be not right, it may be going bad, or time to replace something. And we do that a lot with customers. We'll call them back and say, hey, did you know this and this? And they'll be like, no, but take care of it. And we usually take care of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and I tell people, if you've got a nice old Colt Series 70, you know, and you think, man, what am I going to do with that? You can still send it to Wilson Combat, and Kevin will take care of it and make sure it's something you'll be proud of.
It'll come right here to this bench.
Well, great. Hey, thank you, Kev.
Not a problem,
Good seeing you, bro.
Good seeing you again.
Yes, sir.